This is fine.
All right, sounds like we're good. Maybe we're good.
Awesome. If everyone can hear me now, I'm going to start right over from the top. My name is Brianna. I'm going to be the game master for tonight's first episode of our 3-part series of Vaesen, the Mystery of Hollowcreek. Before I go ahead and do our player introductions, I'm going to do a few quick shout outs to our sponsors for the initiative order. First up, Session Zero, which is awesome D&D inspired streetwear. If you need new shirts, even stickers, go there, check them out. They're fantastic. And on a bonus side to this, if you use the code ORDER at checkout, you'll get 15% off. Norse Foundry also has been generous enough to give us a discount of 15% off for using the code TIO15 at checkout. Amazing dice. If you haven't seen them before, I highly recommend it. Two more, roaming player gear by our very own Ray, aka GotDM on Instagram, is offering 20% off if you use the code Carnaby20 at checkout for their awesome Dice Vault dice tray traveling system. And last but not least, Mithril Armory. If you use the code Initiative at checkout, you get 10% off. And finally, we are very proud to be ambassadors for Jaspers Game Day. Jaspers Game Day is a fantastic nonprofit organization preventing suicide and raising awareness for suicide prevention through tabletop gaming and community. But now that that's wrapped up, I would like to give a chance for all of our players to go ahead and introduce themselves, say who they're going to be playing tonight, and then let everyone know where they can find you. Why don't we go ahead and start with Emily?
Hi, surprise. I'm Emily. Anyway, sorry, it's just the mustache brings out something in me. It's bad. Hello, I'm Emily. I'm on second start to the right, an actual play D&D show with Bree and with Michael, which is lovely. I've been over here on the initiative order a couple of times with these lovely folks before. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Emily Irv, EMILYERV. And I'm so excited to be here. If you couldn't tell, I am already having a good time.
Perfect. And next up, Will.
How's it going, everybody? I'm Will, also the lore keeper over at Arclight Court on Instagram and Twitch. I've been a collaborator and working alongside the wonderful people here at the Initiative Order on a few projects and possibly some here in the future. You can find me at Arclight Court on Instagram and at Arclight Court on Twitch.
Perfect. Michael.
Yo, what up? It's your boy, Michael Kritz. No, I was kidding. Anyway, I'm not kidding. My name is Michael Kritz, but my real name is Michael Sinclair II. I'm a professional D&D performer. I have been on Into the Motherlands. Like Emily has said, I'm in Second Star to the Right with her, Brianna. I'm in Faeforge Academy. I am on... There is another thing. Oh, Let's Get Wild Map with Critical Bard. And then recently... I have been in a bunch of MTG content, so Magic the Gathering. I'm on Tabletop Jocks with Joe Johnson, an actor who does stuff on the Orville. And I am on, if you like Commander, there's game nights, and it's a really great show. So I also am a Magic the Gathering personality. So catch me in everything I do. Michael Kritz on Twitter. Twitch will be coming up soon because I got everything set up from OB or SL OBS to OBS. So that's me.
Fantastic. And Jazz.
Hi, I'm Jazz. I don't really exist on the internet, and this is my first time playing in an online game. I play way too many TTRPGs offline, but now I'm here and I'm very excited.
Let's go.
Yes, and we're so excited to have you. So thank you for trusting us with your first online session. This is going to be
Thanks for having me.
very exciting. And as our viewers may notice, we are missing a lovely person who's supposed to be over to my left on the screen, Beau. Beau, unfortunately, while not here with us in person, is here with us in spirit, and potentially in the chat. They are unfortunately not feeling well tonight, and in order to get better, are going to be briefly missing from this first episode, but hopefully back for the second and third. So, Beau, we love you. Thank you so much. We miss you so much already. But anyways, before we go ahead and dive into the story, why don't we get an intro video going? Perfect. And now for the next adventure. All of the investigators here on the screen with me are people who are known as Thursday's Children, people who have the sight. Essentially what that means is that these people are able to see what are called Vaesen, creatures of folklore, of mythology, of mystery, something that we would think are just old tales, but are, in this time, in the mythic North and in the mythic British Isles of the 1800s, very much a reality. Vaesen have been known to interact with humans for as long as history has been recorded. Almost always in a friendly nature, occasionally not so much. And with the industrialization of the mythic North and British Isles, humans have been finding that Vaesen have become increasingly aggressive. Now, before we get into the investigation for this group, we're going to go ahead and go into the prologue. I'd like for each of our investigators to give an idea of what the typical day in their character's life looks like. And why don't we start with Kasper Krabb?
Yeah, all right. All right. So what Kasper is doing, he's probably making his rounds towards like alleyways and various homeless shelters, orphanages, things like that, and probably checking on people who he's known or cares about or connects with. Probably just making, I guess, deals that would seem to be like shady, but that's just because that's how he has been going his whole life. But these are actually just good things, like, oh, someone, you know, he just like is the middle person, like, oh, someone needs their shoes repaired, so I'm gonna take it to the person who does shoe repair, but you need to give them something. So he's just doing these like little runs here and there for people who he cares about, all the while like chain smoking the whole time, and probably meeting up with one of his like secret connects, trying to get some stuff for himself. What else would he be doing? Oh, probably hanging out in the woods near town with his pigeon, just like probably just talking with the pigeon about the day, the morning. I think that's it. Maybe stealing stuff if there's like a steam engine train or something like that that comes in and out. There's like a really easy access spot, since he's been living around this town for a while. If he knows there's a spot where like the train starts slowing down and he has like a brief window, he'll probably go in, grab some stuff, and take it for himself, and also to spread that out among like a Peter Pan-esque type of thing, except he still gets something from it. Like he also, Steam stonks. He's still doing that. So, better than NFTs. So
Awesome. Better than NFTs. Just for fun, I'm going to say that, yes, exactly as you described, those events throughout the day have occurred. In terms of the attempts of theft, would you go ahead and make a stealth check?
wow, we're already okay.
Yes, already.
Not that I egged that on. Okay. Let's see. This is going to be in precision. Is it precision to sneaking? All right.
Here, for stealth check is going to be yes.
Oh, no,
so
there's skills there.
And stealth.
Yeah. I see it. So I roll, if it's a 2 there, I roll 2 d6s, right?
Yes.
Right, okay. A 5 and a 3, so that's not a success, right?
So unfortunately, as you're attempting to stealth on and take some items, you're successful in the sense that you do grab a few items, not as much as you would hope, before someone turns around and an employee is they see you in the peripheral vision and start yelling at you. You're able to very quickly hustle off with a little bit less than normal, but still some.
Sweet, cool. Happy with that.
Okay. And let's see here. Your pigeon, I'm curious, does it have a name?
Oh, yes. Barnaby.
Barnaby, the pigeon.
Yeah.
I'm going to take a note of that. Perfect. At some point during the end of your day, where would you say that his day ends?
That's a good question. That is a hard but good and fair question. I would probably say it like a shelter, but he probably has a nicer place in this shelter, as in like, oh, there's a room that's not used anymore. And because I'm like the middleman that like run things around, like the person who owns the shelter lets me use like this like broom closet or something as like my own personal space. So it's like, it's as comfy as you can make that type of space, and like, very sentimental. I probably am just like having my evening soup with crackers because old, but like having a good time, feeding a little bit of cracker for me, a little bit for Barnaby, a little cracker for me, a little bit for Barnaby. Simple, nice, and probably reading some, romantic poems by one single source candlelight, and that's it. That's it's a nice evening for Kasper.
And as Kasper, as you're kind of handing off the last little bit of crackers to Barnaby, who is very quickly just consuming it, you hear a light knock, like at the door.
Who is it?
It's Rupert. You would recognize this voice and name as someone who is stationed at the Rose House in London.
All right. Open the door.
You hear the door creak open a little bit, gets stuck on an item, like a small box that was in the way, and pushes it off to the side. Hey, do you think you have a chance to stop by tomorrow? We have another investigation. Your name came up. You might be helpful.
Well, I guess it must be important if you're interrupting such a fabulous dinner.
Oh, yeah. He kind of glances over to the pigeon. He goes a very, obnoxious bow, very deep. And says, my apologies, sir. Are you going to be there or not?
Yeah, I'll be there, of course. And I'm just I'm scritching Barnaby's head.
Well, Barnaby's kind of definitely applying pressure back, leaning into you, as though he's never close enough for enough scritches. Rupert kind of glances over, he's like, okay, thanks. Have a good night. And he kind of nods at the pigeon and closes the door as he starts walking out. And eventually you hear the footsteps.
Yeah, as he walks out, I guess he'll hear, off to bed then, and I'll just blow the candlelight, and then you'll just hear this heavy set of blankets just get tossed over, and then I just knock out because apparently I have to wake up and do something in the morning.
And next up, why don't we go over to Magnus Anderson?
All right, typical day. What you have to understand about Magnus is that when he was a lad, he ate 4 dozen eggs every morning to help him get large. But now that he's grown, he eats 5 dozen eggs. So he is roughly the size of a barge. So every morning, he's waking up. It is very, very, very important to get that protein in so that he can get those gains. So he lives, I would say, probably not in the woods, but on sort of like the wooded border in a small-ish hunting lodge. So his morning started with protein and gains, probably wandering the woods for a while, not necessarily looking to hunt, but just brooding, and with a gun, of course. And then probably after that, and after, working out a little bit more, he will make his way into town to where the tavern is, because it's 4 p.m. somewhere here, actually. And it's time to start drinking and be adored by the local townsfolk.
Of course. So as you come into get beverages, as is probably frequent for you if you're used to being adored by the townsfolk, the barkeep there would kind of nod at you, be like, "What are you wanting?"
I eat just the same thing as always. He settles down into a chair, which creaks because he's a very large man. And the usual would be just an obscenely large tankard of beer. And he's actually brought his own stein, which he slaps down on the table. And it's one of those very elaborate ones. There's like deer and other woodland creatures carved into it. It's got one of those lids that flips open, just slams that on the bar table.
Amazing. And the barkeep kind of raises his eyebrows. Okay then, and grabs it, almost like it's a bit heavy for him. Very shortly after, you have a filled tankard in front of you.
Excellent. I drain that baby, like, maybe a minute later. Like, it's not a chug, but it is gone fast.
And if you would, could you make a vigilance check for me?
Yes. If I could find it. Okay. Just to remind myself, I'm rolling how many dice? Just the number there, or?
So yes, anything that's in vigilance, and then anything that's currently in logic.
Vigilance and logic. Okay, there we go.
This is less about the drink and more about what's going on around you.
I got 1 6 on the die.
1 success. Okay, so that's enough. As you would have been chugging and very quickly slamming the tankard down, off to the side, you notice this smaller stature figure has walked up to you very quietly, and they're just looking up at you. As you turn to see them, they kind of get a little spooked that you notice them right away, and they look up to the side like, "Oh, hi Magnus. I don't know if you remember me. I was I was at the Rose House with William Stuckey."
Do I remember this person?
I'm gonna have you make a learning check. So it's gonna be learning and logic.
Okay, so 1 success on the die.
Perfect. Yes, you would recognize this woman, smaller in stature. She's probably early 20s. Her name, if you recall correctly, was Elizabeth, and she was a person that typically assisted at the Rose House.
Gotcha. I remember you. You're Miss Elizabeth, yes.
Oh, yes. Yeah, you remember my name.
And he takes her hand and gives it a little smooch and does like a deep bow.
And her cheeks just flush, like a bright red. And she's like, yeah, I was supposed to tell you something about yes. Mr. Stuckley was wondering if you can come by tomorrow. Maybe tomorrow morning. There was an investigation that needs helping.
Tomorrow? I believe I could make room in my schedule for it.
Oh, perfect. Great. Well, she kind of looks around, getting a little nervous as how many people are starting to crowd as the bar's now getting filled. I really should get back. I need to prep food for the night, but I'll see you tomorrow then.
It's dangerous out there for a little lady. You sure I couldn't walk you home?
Oh, I mean, you don't have to if you don't want to. Really, I can handle myself.
He takes her by the arm already. It's no bother at all. You never know when there might be bandits on these roads, and he cocks his gun with one hand, which you cannot do with this kind of rifle, but we'll just pretend you can do it for narrative purposes.
Perfect. And so she seems a little taken aback and just kind of nodding at this point. From where you are currently, it's maybe a 15-minute walk to get back to the Rose house. You're familiar with the area and have been there multiple times. So it would be no problem for you to walk her back for the evening.
Great. And I do.
Perfect.
And I leave her at the doorstep like a gentleman, because not Gaston in that way.
Wonderful. And as you wrap up the evening, would you just be heading back to your residence?
I think I'd probably stop back by the tavern for one refill before heading home. Take one for the road. Dwight's got a lid.
So, filled in hand, just enough to make it home before the tankard is empty again. Next up, why don't we go over to Valerio?
So Valerio would have, after his last research investigation, would have returned to Mount Etna in Sicily, where one of his family members was beginning their agoge. So he's there to present his honors on this beginning of their journey and meet with his mother. And he brings her a drawing of the Brook Horse. And he asks her, have we seen anything like this before?
And she takes a drawing from you and is looking at it. Her brow furrows, and it's almost as like you can see her trying to recall from past experiences, from what she's read and heard throughout the order. And she's looking at it. I feel like I've seen something similar to this before. Tales of a horse by a river.
Old horse, long kept by a family. We freed it. Myself and the Oracle I was with. Valerio's slicked back, like black hair, olive toned, bright green eyes. He's like a lean, athletic build to himself, almost like a sprint runner. A cane at his side, even though he doesn't need it. And he's like flipping 2 coins between his fingers. I feel like this is something that we should keep and document here as well. If this is similar to anything that we will be protecting the oracles from, then I think it's something that we should all be aware of.
I have to agree with you on that. But you said this one was taken care of? Vanished?
Yes.
That's impressive. I can't say I for sure know which creature this was, but the one I've heard before of taming that, banishing that is a task.
Took chain, a spear, and empathy.
Empathy. My dear, I don't think that's something you have very strength in.
That's why I provided the chain and the spear. He kind of just gently smiles, thinking of the oracle that he worked alongside beforehand.
Well, it seems that you're just in time. I've heard from our sister organization in London, the Rose House. I think you worked with Linnea Ecclefett of the Uppsala location.
Yes.
They do have someone else they need protecting. Do you think you could head over there?
Absolutely. Is there anyone who needs to be brought there now, other than myself? Turning to his nephew, who's getting the ash markings from the volcano put on his face and handed a spear.
Not quite yet. I think only one is necessary.
Absolutely, Mother. He gives her a small kiss on each cheek, moves back. He sets the little like gathering of drawings and information that he had gathered in her study area, grabs his bag and starts making his way towards Giara to get on a boat to London.
Perfect. Next, but not least, Maja.
I am probably traveling along the edge of the forest up from Hereford, kind of just listening out for any kind of tell of Vaesen that sound like kind of what I'm looking for. So I'm staying in towns. I'm probably doing odd jobs for townsfolk in exchange for lodging. Otherwise, I'm just making my own home on the ground or in a tree with my dog, Pierogi.
Oh, I'm so sorry. And remind me, dog's name one more time.
Pierogi.
Pierogi. Perfect. All right. So as you and Pierogi are venturing through this forested area, there's a familiarity having wandered it many times. I'm going to go ahead and have you make a, let's say, an investigation check. So if you roll investigation and the die that you have allotted in your logic.
That's on top of my normal stat, right?
Yes.
Cool. Okay. Yeah.
And also, I believe Pierogi as a hunting dog may also give you a bonus, if I recall correctly.
Oh, shoot. I think you're right. Yeah, okay. So 16 total?
Oh, do you have any sixes on them?
Oh, yes. 1 6.
1 6, perfect. So a success. As you're going through this forested area with Pierogi at your side, and every now and again he kind of alerts in a specific direction. You glance over, you may see a small creature running away, like a rabbit or a squirrel. At one point, Pierogi stops completely and actually starts growling a little bit as his hair's first standing up on end. He glances over. If you look in the direction that Pierogi's focused, you see a man standing there. Probably 30s, dark hair, pulled back.
I immediately raise my rifle.
Oh, and the man looks at you, hands up. He's dropping a small bit of paper that he had on his side. So, I'm sorry.
Speak. Who are you?
I'm Stefan. Are you Maja by chance?
Yes. How you know this?
Maja Olander?
Yes.
Oh, okay, perfect. I'm sorry. I thought you were in this area, but it's taken me a while to find you. I was trying to get some information to you from the Rose House in London.
Have I heard of the Rose House before?
Yes. So, Maja, in a previous investigation that you and a Mr. Kasper Krabb had been on, was based out of the Rose House.
Okay. They need me there for what?
They said they said they needed a hunter.
This is me.
Perfect. If you're able to get over there, like, obviously not tonight, it might take you a day to get there. I'm headed in the opposite direction, or else I'd offer to travel with you.
How did you find me?
Oh, the Rose House has information on where everyone has been recently. Isn't this where you guys were last time for the investigation?
I've moved since then. I do not like this.
His expression gets a little worried and a bit uncomfortable. I'm sorry, I'm just a messenger for them.
Pierogi's like circling him.
Kind of looking at Pierogi. Yeah, that was the message I was supposed to deliver. If it's okay with you, I would just like to be on my way.
Do I sense any danger from this person?
Perfect. Why don't you go ahead and make, let's say, an observation check. So it's going to be your observation and empathy.
Okay. Observation. Oh, that's really good. That's 2 6s.
2 6s, 2 successes. So, a trained eye, you're used to not only watching prey, but people as well, in terms of their mannerisms, especially when you have Pierogi with you and knowing typical reactions. He seems very uncomfortable by the firearm being pointed at him by Pierogi circling, but his voice never wavered in a way that made you feel distrustful of the information he was sharing.
Okay. Vali, what do you think? Yes, I agree. Okay, you can go.
He kind of looks off to the side, a little confused. Okay, have a good day. And he bends over to pick up some of the paper that he dropped. He starts walking very briskly in the direction that you know the roadway to be.
Okay. I let him go.
Perfect. And so we're gonna go ahead and fast forward to what would have been the next day for some of you, a couple days later for others, just based on the variety of locations everyone was currently stationed in. But now we are all arriving or returning to the Rose House. So the Rose House is a stone building about 3 stories at Aldermanbury. It's not far from the London Wall. It's said that it takes its name from the Secret, or Sub Rosa, business conducted by Sir Francis Walshingham, whose family once owned this house. This ground level that you first enter in at is vast. Half of it's a coach house and stables, and you normally enter in through the streets through this arched doubled gate. The rest of the floor you would know to be comprised of kitchens, storerooms, and a small cellar for wine and other perishables. As you walk in, each would at some point see 2 people. First, Hawkins, the butler of the location. He typically has an office and a small bedroom off one of these storerooms downstairs, but he's a butler who's been around as long as anyone else has in this building. Mrs. Morley, the cook and housekeeper, often comes in daily from her home. It's just a few streets away. You smell an aroma of very pleasant baked goods. As Mrs. Morley looks up, a little bit of a mess on the counter in front of her, and she'd wave individually. I'm going to say a die roll will determine who is the first to arrive in the morning. That's going to be Magnus.
Bright and early. Kick open the door. No. But I do open the door pretty forcefully. Morning.
Oh, good morning. How is the morning treating you so far?
Is this Elizabeth or is this someone else?
Oh, this is Mrs. Morley, the cook and housekeeper.
That's been all right. Would be better if I could have had a bite to eat before I came here, but I had to be here at the crack of dawn for some reason.
Well, it seems like I'm supposed to be expecting a few of you, and she kind of gestures over to a counter adjacent to where she's standing, and you see there's a large platter with a variety of baked goods already waiting. Treat yourself.
I thank you, madam. I give her a wink.
Of course.
I'm always a little bit nasty before I eat.
You sound like my husband. She keeps rolling out some of the dough in front of her.
I doubt it.
And
I'm just stuffing my face now. Anything high in protein.
Next up, Magnus is just stuffing his face with the baked goods. Let's go to, okay, surprising. Maja would be the next to arrive.
Okay. I'm very cautious. I kind of check the perimeter of the house.
Okay.
Have I actually been here before, or did I just kind of get information from here?
You've been here. I would say the amount of time that you actually spent in the building, entirely up to you.
Okay.
You'd come here for some basic information about the previous investigation that you and Kasper Krabb had been on, and returned with the single horseshoe.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just gonna do a walk around the entire house, just kind of scoping it out first.
Perfect. I would say no check needed for this. As you're walking the perimeter, kind of opening the side gate, going through, you hear the slight crunch of some leaves under your feet and under Pierogies as he's starting to also run around. As you glance, you're seeing someone looking at you from one of the windows inside. You'd recognize as the butler. Raises a single eyebrow, waves, and nods his head, and he just continues on his way. But you see no activity outside.
Okay.
Seems to be
I'll
a fairly
go
standard
back
morning.
around. Yeah.
Perfect. Right. So as Maja, as you enter in this location, I'll say, and would you describe Magnus what Maja sees?
Yeah. So you see, like a 6'4", like big burly strapping man, excellent mustache, dark hair sort of coiffed backwards and pulled into a little bun, wearing just a bandolier of bullets across his chest, and a huge hunting rifle strapped to his back, and he's just chowing down on breakfast food. Probably doesn't even see you because he's so focused in on whatever he's eating.
Yeah, I'm not gonna go to the table. I'm gonna just kind of edge along the side of the wall and just stand there awkwardly.
Are you attempting to remain like hidden? Are you trying to be
Yes.
incredibly stealthy? I'm gonna have you make a stealth check, and both Magnus and actually, I think I'm gonna have her make a vigilance check as well.
What do you want? What check do you want me to make?
A vigilance check, please.
Vigilance.
That is 2 successes.
No successes.
Amazing. So, Masha, as you've entered in the location and you're seeing the large figure of Magnus just chowing down on some baked goods, and then you see also off to the side the woman currently just working at kind of with kneading out some more dough. Neither of them appear to have noticed you. As you're standing there, is there anything in particular that you're wanting to do, feeling like you're well hidden?
Well, Magnus is just mowing down. Like, I'm just like, okay, whatever. I'm gonna go further into the house and just start looking around.
Perfect. So, as you do that, you're going in through this initial room. There's a variety of storerooms that are around that you're familiar with, mainly basic storage. And then you also see off to the other half of this first ground level, there's stables and a coach house as well.
Okay. Did the food look good?
The food looked very good.
Okay, I'll go back. And with my stealth roll, I'll just like slowly, quietly kind of creep up behind Magnus and then just sit directly next to him.
Do I notice her at this point?
I would say it takes a minute as Masha is incredibly stealthy. Very sneaky. Really quiet, but you do notice. Yes.
Hello.
You gave me quite the fright there.
Yes, I can see that. Do you require help? I kind of pat him on the back.
No, thank you, though. What does Maja look like, out of curiosity?
She's like a spooky rectangle. She's very like thin and tall and kind of long gray hair. One side is just like completely bald because there's this huge burn scar across the like right side of her skull. She looks like she's a rough 50, like seen some shit sort of 50. Yeah, and just like her eyes are constantly like spooked.
Thank you, madam. Would you care for some breakfast?
Yes, please.
While still looking at her, Magnus, like, he's a big dude, but like he's clearly unsettled by just her presence in general, and is like reaching to like put a Danish on a plate and is just not taking his eyes off of her for fear that she'll do something while he's not looking, and just slides her a little plate, which is comically small in his hand, mind you.
Can I have Pierogi like take the seat on the other side of Magnus?
Absolutely. Suddenly, there is now a dog next to you as well on the opposite side. You hear like a little scuffling of paws trying to get settled, and then a pant.
Oh. Is that yours?
Yes, please get the plate for him too.
I look at the dog. The dog and I are now making eye contact. I do the same thing where I try and put something on the plate for the dog, but I'm still just like looking into its eyes because I'm also afraid of the dog. And slide a little plate to the dog as well. Does he have a name?
Pierogi.
Good boy.
Who are you?
I am sorry, I'm losing the Scottish. The Russian's throwing me off. I'm Magnus Anderson. I'm, one of Thursday's children.
I know this lingo, right?
Yeah, you would know that Thursday's children essentially means that Magnus also has the sight.
Cool. You're very large.
So I've been told.
It seems useful. And I'm gonna just start eating.
I'm trying to make eye contact now with the person who I saw when I came in to see if, like, I'm the only one that's this perturbed by what's going on.
If you look over to where she was, she's looking at you. There's this smile on her face. She's finding this hilarious. She could tell that you are incredibly uncomfortable, and to see this strange woman come in and essentially creep you out, the biggest man in the building. Well, she starts fussing a little bit and walks over. You can hear her cleaning up some of the footprints left by Pierogi.
Oh yeah, it's all over the chair at this point.
Yeah.
He's a mess. Yeah.
Eventually, there's like a sigh. You know, she's kind of resigned to the fact she's going to wait until after Pierogi has left to clean.
I mean, to be fair, I'm probably leaving tracks too.
Fair. It'll be a cleaning experience for later. But who next to join? Kasper Krabb.
Sweet. All right, so I'm gonna come into the room. I'm gonna see the spread that's there. As I walk in, good to see you, Maja. And I'm gonna just like do a kind of just like a quick gesture while I still like coming indoors. I have a personally rolled cigarette that I've just put in my mouth and like lit. And you're gonna see me close the case that has like the papers in it, but it comes from not like an actual cigarette tin. The tin says Maltoids, mysteriously marvelous menthol mints. And I'm gonna like put that away. Looks like we've got a good spread here. And I'm just gonna like walk over and like start grabbing like biscuits and putting it in like my actual suit pockets and stuff. And then I'm gonna get Barnaby and like let him like look at all the little things to see what he likes, and if it looks like he likes something, I'm also putting that away.
Does everybody have an animal here?
Can I make it like canon that Pierogi and Barnaby are best friends? Like they just bonded the last time.
Perfect. I'm just gonna, actually I'm gonna look over, and it's gonna like, Barnaby's gonna start squeaking at me or like chirping at me. What are you looking at me for? go say hi to your friend. And I'm just gonna like throw the bird, like let it fly over. And I feel like it's just gonna land on Pierogi's head and just like bounce around. Yeah, and then I'm going to right where because I imagine where we're sitting and where the food's being served is, you know, two different tables, and I'm just gonna smoke my cigarette, my personally rolled cigarette with no filter, obviously, because this, you know, I'm a what's the class? I'm a vagabond.
A vagabond.
I'm a vagabond. We don't get the fancy pre-rolled filter. No. All right. I'm gonna just sit on that table where all the baked goods are, and as I'm smoking and eating, I'm also just gonna be like and like coughing as I'm like doing all of this. Not into the food. I have more respect than that, but just a general cough that seems like reflexive. That seems kind of normal for him.
You look familiar. Have we met before?
And we have, right? We have met once.
we have met once.
Do we do a thing? I forget. Do we do?
No, we didn't do sessions here. We just talked about this. We were just like, wouldn't it be funny if we did this thing? I feel as though I've seen your face before, although I can't remember where.
This is Mr. Krabb. And I just continue to eat.
And then the realization like slowly dawns on Magnus that he remembers where he knows you from. And he's like, you know, actually, I don't think I've ever seen you before in my life. I think I'm confusing you with some other guy with elbow patches on his jacket. You know, it's becoming all the rage in fashion.
No, it was definitely me. It was I remember. This was, you traded the thing so you can speak to what was her name? Do you remember her name? Great girl.
Sure. That is exactly where we met.
Did you have a good night?
We can stick. We could stick to that story. Yes.
Jasper, would you make a learning check for me?
Yeah.
See if we can figure out where you know Magnus from.
Learning. Oh, there's 1d6. You know what I'm really known for in this space is rolling ones, and so obviously I rolled a 1.
Good. So, Kasper, yeah, you think that what you were just talking about, this guy that you're saying he needed to talk to somebody, you're like 99% certain that's how you know them.
Yeah, you traded with me. What was the thing? Yes, you traded with me several pieces of ammo, and obviously what you wanted was a date. I think that's what it was, right?
A date with the lovely lady whose name I can't remember right now.
Rosie.
You know yes, that one. Lovely gal, lovely lass. Splendid. Thank you for all of your help in that matter.
Just really good with massages, obviously. So I hope that you have lots of muscle and.
Yeah, could you give me her information again? I think I may have lost it.
Sure, somewhere. I have to go back to the shelter.
In your own time, pal.
More bullets, please. If you request it, I'm going to need.
Oh, sure. We'll do the trade after we. Are you on this job too?
I think so. Are we all here for?
I just like start looking around because obviously like we're all summoned here. but this is more of a beat for like Valerio, since everyone's like looking around.
Perfect. And Valerio, you do arrive, entering through the door.
So Valerio walks in with like a folded piece of paper, like double checking the almost like street numbers or housing number of the area. Like, okay, this is, because he's never been to this branch or area of the society before. Folds the paper up, puts it inside of his jacket pocket, takes his cane and just starts walking into the room. Sees Mrs. Morse?
Mrs. Morley.
Mrs. Morley. Turns to her, like pulls his cap off, sets it underneath his arm, like gently bows and says, "A Thursday's child looking for Rose House."
Oh, well, if you're looking for Rose House, you've done found it. Sorry. Weird dialect change there. Yes, I think that's supposed to be all of you. Maybe one more, but I'll go ahead and let Hawkins know that you're here. Feel free to have a seat, and she'll gesture at some of the baked goods that are sitting out, and you see Maja, you see Magnus, who seems a little bit concerned about a dog also sitting next to him, and Mr. Krabb. But Ms. Morley exits briefly.
Blair is wearing like a nice white collared button up with the black pea coat over the top of it, cane with the hat underneath, sleeves pulled all the way down, and the buttons on the end of the jacket are tightly closed so that it doesn't move away from his wrist. Looks over, sees the animals, sees the other three. I assume it's us then.
Aye, you one of the merry band of adventurers.
Something of the sort, and stops the cane walking, just leaves the hat on the entry table, and like one of the small flowers from Mount Etna next to the baked goods on the counter, doesn't take any, and walks over towards the rest of the group.
I'm gonna, cause I've worked with Valerio before, right? I think is that or is this new person?
Valerio would be new to you.
Uh-huh.
You and Maja had previously worked on an investigation together, and you'd previously been investigating something regarding a church in a small town near Uppsala, but none of these individuals were there with you.
Cool. You know what? This is the first time I've ever been confused in a TTRPG game. My bad. I wrote down all my notes. Continue.
Really good. It's a lot.
But Valerio will take a seat next to Maja, like with the like between Magnus and Maja almost, and like gesture a hand over towards her. Valerio.
Who are you?
Valerio.
That does not answer my question.
Thursday's child, a protector of oracles, a member of the society.
What do you do?
I protect people.
I'll shake his hand.
Extends a hand over to Kasper as well. Valerio.
Sure. And I'm just gonna like shake his hand after wiping bread off my jacket.
He does the same with Magnus as well.
My name's Magnus. Big hunting's my game. I guess we're talking about professions now. Anyway, I go to shake his hand, and it's a very like toxically masculine, firm handshake.
It's
gonna let go first.
30 pounds. Yeah, 30 pounds per pressure because someone has measured way back in the day that our handshakes have gotten weaker because, you know, reasons.
Valerio actually tries to match it simultaneously.
Yes.
Please roll off.
Hey, you know what? I'm never going to refuse a roll off.
Yeah, can we roll off to see who breaks this handshake first?
Let's go ahead and do force. So it's going to be force plus physique.
Also, well done, Jazz. We were like, no, and no PC battles, and then just.
I don't think a handshake counts.
Oh, it definitely does.
No, if you're a man, it's a battle, okay?
I have 2 6s, a 4, and a 3.
I have.
And I only rolled 4 dice.
I rolled 6 dice, and I have 2 6s, 2 5s, a 2, and a 1.
Okay, so the only die number that really matters is when you get a 6, and you both got 2 6s.
Oh, no.
I'm just gonna say, as an option, there's just like this almost uncomfortable tension that's taken over for like Kasper and Maja as they're watching this handshake. Both of you just staring at each other, like very clearly your arms are just like so tight as you're gripping. Are you?
The veins are bulging out of my arm.
Do you want to try this roll one more time?
Yes.
Once I see the veins bulging, I'm gonna like slink my hand out.
Oh, okay.
Do it. Pleasure.
Absolutely. Are any of you here oracles, mediums, or seers?
No, not me.
Then there has to be another reason why I'm here.
I sort of lean over to Mrs. Marley and go, yeah, why are we here? Is somebody gonna come and like give us a spooky monologue or something like they usually do?
As you're hearing your voice echo down the hallway that she just went down to try to get someone for you, you hear her like footsteps growing a little bit louder, and she's like, yes, just 1 minute, sir. And you hear a second set of footsteps following. You see each of you would be familiar, except for Valerio, as this is the first time for you at the location of the Rose House. You would recognize the gentleman that follows her is, let's see here, Hawkins. He's the butler for this location. And he comes out, older gentleman. Kasper, you would feel comfortable even saying he's older than you are, probably in his late 60s. Frail man, but well put together, moves with I would say almost a surprising amount of force for a man his age, following Mrs. Morley. He walks and he's like, yes, hello everyone, good morning. Thank you for coming. And he looks over towards Valerio, having heard the conversation that just took place. Your oracle is not yet here. We'll discuss this further if you all would please follow me. And he'll turn around and start walking towards the stairs to the second floor.
Valerio just immediately stands up and follows behind him.
Have I met the butler before?
Maja, you would have seen him. He was the individual who was looking at you from inside the house when you were out in the...
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Sure.
All right. Yeah, I'll follow.
Okay. And so with everyone following, I feel like that might be a good time for us to take a break before this next meeting occurs.
Sweet.
So we're going to take a quick 10, 15-minute break. If you all want to hang out in the chat, it would be much appreciated. But we will be right back. Thank you all so much. we're back. Welcome back, everyone. Thanks so much for hanging out with us and staying after that break. Last we left off, before cutting to break, our group of 4 investigators from various areas within the city of London and outside are all currently at the Rose House, which is known as the London headquarters for the society. People who investigate Vaesen, as do these 4 individuals. And you were just being shown upstairs to the first floor, technically, of the Rose House. You see Hawkins walking in front of you very briskly up the stairs, not really stopping or checking to see if you're still following him, and very quickly cuts off to a left. You're almost getting lost in this maze of hallways in this very unconventionally set up house. You can tell it's been around for an incredibly long time, and they've tried remodeling it to where the original form really doesn't make sense anymore. It last leads up to this essentially main activity area of the house. A central lounge, it's furnished with sofas, armchairs, and you see doors that lead to a library and a museum on one side, and then there's a dining hall on the other. Top floor, for those who have been here before, would probably know it's devoted to like bedrooms and living spaces, which are typically made available to visiting members. He glances to all of you and says, it'll just be this direction. And he starts walking through to the library. If you follow him, you do see there's a gentleman waiting, sitting down at one of the tables. He looks up and stands from his seat. Hi, thank you so much for joining me. And he looks over. A few of you may recognize him. Valerio, you will not, as you have not been to this location before. If I could have Kasper, Magnus, and Maja all make learning checks.
Valerio is just going to take the cane and set it under his arm, like starting to take the jacket off.
Perfect.
1 success.
Success? Okay.
Yeah, same.
1. Okay. Kasper, looking at this man, there's a familiarity, but you can't quite remember if it's you've seen him here, you've seen him when you're out on the streets. It's just a person in a town.
I'm just gonna ash my cigarette. That's what I'm gonna do.
Magnus and Maja, you do recognize this individual. You may not have directly spoken with him for previous investigations, but you've definitely seen him in this house. You would recognize him as being William Huckley. He is one of the most well-known members of the society, and typically is the one who is determining who handles what with investigations. He's an older man, not quite as old as Hawkins, probably only in his 50s. Graying hair, short, mustache and beard, well-dressed, but stands up. He seems to have a bit of a limp as he's trying to steady himself as he stands. And he first offers, as Valerio, if you were taking off your coat, he extends a hand out to you and says, I don't believe we've met yet. I'm William Huckley.
Valerio Lorenzano.
Yes. Thank you for joining us. I believe our sister society in Uppsala had recommended you. Thank you very much. And he'll look over, seeming to recognize Maja and Magnus. He'll extend a hand out to Maja at first. I believe we met William Huckley.
Yes. Or do you want to meet again?
Just a formality, I suppose. He'll start kind of extending his hand back.
All right.
And
I'll grab it.
Okay. Oh, okay. And he also glances down and sees that there's a dog following. He's like, oh, yes, I forgot. And he'll start kneeling down as though he's like extending his hand out to Pierogi.
Pierogi is ambivalent.
Okay, that's fine. He'll kind of glance over as Pierogi's kind of eyeing him. I understand. I probably smell like my cat at home. And looks over to Magnus. Mr. Anderson, am I right?
Aye.
Thank you for joining us. I believe he kind of glances back to Maja. Hunters we definitely need at the time. and looking at Kasper.
Magnus looks at Maja because he hasn't quite made the connection yet that she's also a hunter. And so there's just sort of a look of like, what the hell that passes across his face.
Oh, I do have a big rifle on my back.
Yeah, I saw that. But also, like, he did not put two and two together until just now. He's like,
I do the same thing. All I saw was you eating a bunch of food, so.
And Kasper, you see this gentleman extend a hand out to offer a shake. I believe that means you're Kasper, Krabb.
Lovely to make your acquaintance. Yes, it's Kasper Krabb. You gotta shake the bird over there.
Oh, the bird. He kind of glances. Is the bird on your shoulder? Or is he just following? Like,
Nope, still on Pierogi's head.
still on? Oh, it's on Pierogi's head.
Mhm.
His glances over. Said, I don't know how I missed a pigeon, but hi. And he kind of like does a little wave.
I really want to do the Iron Man 2 thing. You shake bird like the guy from that weird dude.
Fuck my bird.
Yeah.
And with that, he gestures, says, please have a seat, and he'll sit back down. You notice that there's an extra seat open at the table. It's not occupied. In terms of sitting, is anyone choosing not to sit, or?
I'm standing, and if there's any kind of like box or crate or stool, I want to put just one leg up on it and do the Captain Morgan. That's my casual stance.
I think there's definitely a stool off to the side if you choose just to kind of pull it over and then put a foot up.
Valerio will take his seat and he'll pull his the travel case that he has with him in front of his feet, and he'll pull out the notebook of the stuff that him and Frederica had learned about the Brook horse and the writings and drawings she put in there, and he'll like open that and get ready to start writing any information.
Right.
I'm gonna go stand behind Valerio and just see what he's working on.
Ooh, okay.
I will also take a seat, but then pull out my wrapping papers and just start just making this crinkly noise as I try and wrap another cigarette.
And Maja, you're trying to read over Valerio's shoulder, is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna have you do a investigation check. So investigation and logic. Valerio, would you be trying to conceal the papers?
No.
Oh, okay.
Because he's confirmed that this is where he's supposed to be, and the people that he's going to be with, there's already a response from his raising and everything to just be open. So he's not hiding any of it.
Right.
I got one success.
One success. Okay. So as you're looking over the shoulder, you're able to get a pretty clear view. Valerio doesn't seem to be trying to conceal it, and almost as though it's spread out very nicely, neatly in front of him. Valerio, what kind of notes would she be seeing?
You would see the information that we gathered afterwards about what a Brook horse was, the different names that have been given to Brook horses that are seen in other places, as well as a very detailed drawing of the banishment circle and the Brook horse itself.
Interesting.
But there's no like personal information. The family that was involved isn't listed. Frederica isn't listed. It just says Oracle. But anything that has to do with Valerio, his name is listed on there.
Okay.
I'm just gonna look at the picture of the Brook horse and go, that is accurate. And then I'll go and sit down.
It's after Maja takes her seat and Kasper currently rolling up. Magnus very much not sitting, but being very prominently placed in the room. William Huckley starts going through a couple pieces of paper in front of him and says, okay, so I guess I should address the empty seat. we are expecting a fifth member of this party to be meeting you at this location. They happen to be away on another investigation, and makes more sense for them to meet you there travel time wise. Valerio, this is an individual I'd like you to be around with during the investigation. They've had some inkling of prophetic abilities, and that might prove to be helpful here.
He immediately starts writing out descriptions of Magnus, Kasper, Maja, not drawing them, but writing the descriptions of them, and then leaving the space for the prophetic member at the top of the list.
And glancing over to each of you, kind of thinking momentarily. So, we received word from a mayor up north, William Davies. He's the mayor of a small town up in the area of Wolford. That's going to be a couple days travel, not quite a short walk away. But we've been requested to assist with a interesting issue occurring. Unfortunately, a couple people have died at this point. They've lost 2 different members of their city, and it seems to be connected possibly to some sort of activity in the woods surrounding it. I've not as incredibly, I don't have a wealth of information for you yet at this time. It's been mainly hinted at a rumor circulating around the town of a large beast that was killing off some of their livestock. A couple people decided to go look into it, and unfortunately, it found them.
Do we have any description of the damage or what may have caused the harm to the livestock or the people? Claws, bites, things of that nature.
Definitely. So the livestock seem to have taken a lot of their bodies were mangled. It was as though they were stabbed repeatedly.
Keeping note.
And the same of the people?
I don't have as much information on the people at this point. Unfortunately, one of them is one of the mayor's sons. He wasn't incredibly detailed in what befell his son. I do know that there is it seems the other individual they'd mentioned, Mr. Oliver Jacobson, he had a significant loss of blood due to a wound in his throat.
Do we know if there's any documentation of wives' tales or stories to keep children in their bed from that area?
In that area, a fair amount. Most of them seem to be around tales of werewolves, tales of the wood wives, the lake wives, creatures like that. Mostly humanoid in nature.
You mentioned stabbings. Was it a proper stabbing, or was it like a rough job stabbing? Was it like a shank, or was it like an actual knife?
The way it was described, it could have been claws, daggers, but rough, yes.
All right, there's a difference. I've been stabbed. That's the nice stab. There's nice stabbings and there's rough stabbings. And
I would probably say this is the less desirable of stabbing.
I finish doing the rolling bit of the cigarette and tamper it down where the licked spit part was, and I'm gonna look at Magnus as I say stabbings, and reach at my chest or something. Just for a second. And then
I. So, are we to be speaking with the mayor when we arrive?
Yes, I would say he's your point of contact to start with. A lot of the town folk have become concerned, and obviously, as a mayor, it's his job to ease their minds.
You said there's more than one person who is gotten by the creature.
Yes.
Who else besides the son?
The first individual was Mr. Oliver Jacobson. The son, Mason Davies.
And did they go hunting for the creature together?
My understanding is they were separate.
Magnus just nods and furrows his brow.
How about the townspeople there? Is there like a market there? Are they, is it a town of trading? I don't think
have I heard of the town? Let me look. Why can't I see Wolford? The town, Wolford.
Could make a learning check.
Learning check. I am learned.
You are
6.
learned.
1-6.
1-6? Okay. It sounds familiar to you. It's a smaller location. Mostly self-sufficient, not huge in terms of trade. It's not a well-off city by any means. You would know that Wolford, being about 2 days travel north of where you're currently at in London, is close to another smaller town called Black Hollows. That one's a bit more inland than Wolford is, but you'd have familiarity with the general geography there.
As I take my first puff of the cigarette and blow it, I'm about to put it back in my mouth, but then Burnaby is going to come and grab the cigarette and like take a puff out of it like a bird. I don't understand why. Give that back. And I'm just going to like try and grab it as it's like trying to hop around and try and go back to smoking my rolled up cigarette.
Just because you're throwing it out there, I'm going to have you make another check to see how efficient you are as getting it back from the bird. Let's say agility.
Oh no, I'm not that great. Nope,
no success. I would say it takes you a couple attempts to getting the the cigarette back from your bird, as he has stolen it from you effectively. As you kind of lunge forward towards it, he hops off to the side. Another one hops off. You're making quite a scene in front of the other individuals currently, but eventually he stops just as you're lunging, and you're able to take it back from him.
Don't worry, I've got it.
Good job.
Valaria's gonna turn to Maja and ask, does this sound like anything you've encountered before?
It?
Make a learning check.
And he's only asking because Maja had pointed out that the drawing of the brook horse was very accurate.
Do I see what, like, now that they're speaking into it, would I have seen that drawing, or are you still on that same page, or did you move on to a different page?
I've got them like laid out in front of me.
I'm gonna look at that symbol, and then I'm gonna take a look at Maja. And I'm just going to like start like rubbing the outside of both of my thighs, and just like
I won't be doing that again. I don't know. Not that one.
Worked out.
The horse or the magic, Mr. Krabb?
I guess. Oh, the horse. I will not be doing it. A day and a half. I was on that horse for a day and a half. Do you remember that?
And I'm going to look over at Maja.
Oh, I remember. It was quite entertaining.
I couldn't walk right for 3 days.
I was able to keep it in place with, and he'll like open up his coat and you'll see there's a length of chain that's wrapped around his chest on top of the shirt. He says, and I was able to hold it in place with this while my oracle was able to calm it.
Still got the horseshoe. I have to do it again. We know better. But never again.
I'm just going to put it back in my jacket.
Well, luckily, I don't think that horses have claws or the ability to use daggers, so I don't think that we'll be dealing with a horse in this situation.
Never know.
You do never know.
Do you know anything of this, Maja?
I know of horses.
But nothing like this.
I know of stabbing.
I don't think it's a woodwife. I don't think that they don't usually do that. I think I've read in books. Mm-hmm.
A woodwife is?
William had said there's tales in the town of the woodwife, but I don't think that one would do this. But I can't elaborate anymore because I simply do not know anything about this. He looks nervous.
But what is a woodwife?
Like a lady, in the woods, or sometimes a lady, sometimes like a rock or like a tree, but mostly a lady.
Like,
well,
Maja is a lady in the woods, typically.
But like a magical creature lady who can turn into other things and who also protects the woods and the animals within. I think, but again, I do not know anything on this subject.
Can I try to read it to Magnus right now?
Absolutely. Okay, so this is going to be another fun little roll off. I'm going to have you do an observation check, Maja. And Magnus, if you're attempting, I assume, to be concealing thoughts or being read at the moment, I'd have it be a manipulation check.
That's just one success for me.
What about you, Magnus? What'd you get?
Oh, sorry, I didn't realize this was contested. What? Sorry,
Manipulation check. Sorry.
I was like, yes. Oh, okay. Sorry. One moment. Ooh. One success for me as well.
Ooh, okay. So, unless either of you want to push the roll, I'm gonna have it be another roll. Same checks.
All of them were ones. Every single die.
I swear to God, 4 out of 5 are by ones.
Oof. And
That's nothing.
No successes. We went from both having one success to neither have any successes. I'm gonna say that it's almost like it's at a stalemate. Maja, you're looking at Magnus, who's also very much trying to maybe make eye contact, then kind of glance away, then kind of adjust as he's standing. But it's very difficult for either of you to kind of get a read on the other.
What do you know of Woodwife?
I literally just told you what I know about the Woodwives. I don't know. It's a lady in the woods. If we find one, you can ask her. Maybe, I don't know if they talk to people. Again, not an expert. In Woodwives, expert in...
Okay. You're the one who started talking about it. I'm
Just
starting to figure Scottish now.
Amazing.
I know there's like a vanishing point between the Russian and the sky. Messing with my mind. I don't think that one of them would have mutilated animals and stabbed the mayor's son. Probably. Unless they were killing animals in the forest or something. I don't know.
And William Huckley's kind of looking at, observing this general conversation and then starting to kind of clear his throat. I'm inclined to agree with you, Magnus, on this. It feels like the tales of Woodwise, as I call them, or I'm referring to them, are of the think of the pull of forest, of wooded areas, like the draw to nature. These creatures have been known to be present and to manipulate the people that go into their grounds. We've called them a woodwife. They've had names across other locations too. There's lots like it. It just depends on the area. But as far as I'm aware, they tend to protect.
Do we know of any magic or markings that seem out of place in the area?
In the area, there's no mention of that here. I wouldn't discount looking into that, though.
I'm going to stand up and kind of... They do not protect. And I'm just going to start kind of pacing around the table.
I'm going to ask... You're talking to William right now?
Yes, William Huckley.
I'm going to talk to William.
Is there any new buildings or factories or establishments that have recently come up in that area?
That area, I think they've recently expanded a little bit. Yes.
What did they expand?
In terms of new buildings, new business, nothing like a mill or anything of that nature.
What's the business?
Business, general markets, actually
Fair
building
enough.
up from the ground.
All right. That's I mean, I don't know about everyone else here, but it's probably where I'm going to start.
We're currently in the library itself as the meeting area.
Yes.
Valerio is going to turn the banishment drawing, the spell circle, over towards Mr. William, slide it over to him, and ask if there are any books here that reference things like this.
Ooh. He'll take it from you and glance over it. I'm confident saying you'll likely find something within this room. He kind of stands up, starts pacing a little bit. Now, this is actually going to be leading us into our preparation phase for the investigation. So between the preparation and the journey, everyone participating will have the ability to gain an advantage, which is a +2. So 2 additional die that you can use at any point during the investigation, but only once. So, Valerio, would you like to use this preparation time in order to be researching this?
Yes. In specific, any kind of runes, incantations, spell circles, things of that nature, that could be applicable or found in areas where werewolves might be, since that seems to be like the consensus on what this might be.
Understood. Okay, so I am going to, first of all, I'm going to have you roll a learning check that's not going to affect the advantage that you're going to be gaining from this, but it will affect the information that you're receiving.
1 success.
1 success. Okay. So, between being able to start kind of perusing through the many books that are available at William's kind of direction as he's actually going through and opening a few as well. You do find a few books, I'll say 3, that he would say you are able to research and take with you if you can try to guarantee returning them, because knowledge is power here. You would see one that actually does detail the exact same circle that you had used when you were banishing the Brook Horse. There is a reference to other Christianity-based symbols that would be used in similar circumstances. And it gives you kind of an outline of, at times it seems like some of the creatures encountered or even activity is somehow affected by the presence of different religious symbology.
Do I see any that are Maja or Goetia, like ancient Greek or Latin forms of those same markings?
I would say yes. With your success, you do.
Okay.
It is in a single book.
Valerio is going through all of them. He'll undo the buttons on the ends of his cuff and start rolling his sleeve up. And from his wrist, seemingly going up his arm, and what you could assume would be on the rest of his body, are old Grecian Magia or Goetia markings, different runes or symbols that he has adorned, and he's looking over and he's finding the ones that correlate to this, and he's taking the pen and he's like circling over the ones that he sees matches so he can make a reference on paper without having to take the books.
And while we're still at the Rose House, you have an expected, essentially, departure date of the following morning. You have all this evening, all this day and evening to prepare as you see fit within the Rose House and within London as a whole. As long as you're back bright and early to be able to get in the carriage for your 2-day trip. Is there anything that anyone would like to do while at the Rose House or in London prior to the journey? Oh, Kasper?
Yeah, so first things first, the benefit I want is not necessarily this, but it's just a thing that I would do.
Hey Maja, can you help me with this? It's gotten quite dull. I've been using it to cut vegetables, cheese, various hunks of meat. My axe have gotten dull again, so you
Why
might.
are you using axe for this thing? There are other tools that are suited. I'll grab it.
You know, I like using just one for everything. Then, when it comes down to business, I'm already quite familiar with the tool I'm using.
Yes, but it is dull from cutting vegetable.
But this is why I have you as a friend sometimes, so you can maybe sharpen it.
I'll start sharpening it.
I'll also give her like a fresh tin that doesn't have cigarette stuff. It's actually like actual mints and stuff, and I'll hand that over to her as well.
I
Just
pass
'cause-
one to Pierogi.
Just because I know you liked them so much when we were on our last journey, so.
Yes, I did eat all of them. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. That's yours, so. You know, I need some for myself to keep my breath fresh, because obviously
Yes,
cigarettes are really great, so.
Very bad. Like, very bad breath.
All right.
And
I did notice.
I'm going to, from there, probably leave the Rose House and try and see if I could find any connects that were in Wilford recently, to figure out if there's any other connections I could make there, like if any other establishments are like squalor or poor, like a orphanage or like a halfway home or something of that sort that's in Wilford, like a connection that I can speak to, and also maybe get some more knowledge from shadier figures about what that new building in Wilford is. And it's probably what I would go and do. Is the only thing that would probably be smart to do.
Sounds good. So, question out of character. I believe that your character has a specific talent.
I do.
I wonder if you want to use that right now.
Sure, this could go
Okay.
very poorly. Let's do it.
Okay, amazing. So
I could
love
get hurt
talents.
before we even start. This will be great.
Let's try this. It's the well-traveled.
Yeah,
Is
yeah,
that
yeah.
correct? Well,
I think it's in my talents, and then you go to vagabond talents. Hobo, no, well traveled. Once per mystery, you can make a manipulation test to create NPC who's situated in the area, but I guess in this sense, it's someone who's situated in Wolford, and who you've met before. The game master says, and you can, you're the game master, but
yeah.
you decide how this happens. All of that.
Okay, fantastic. I'm just pulling this up because it's easier for me to retain when I read for some reason. I'm gonna go ahead and have you. Okay, perfect. Go ahead and make a manipulation check.
Okay. Yeah, I was only explaining it for the audience.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Bree's a professional. If any of you don't think that,
Oh,
I will find you.
We are-
Many of this cast will find you.
we're doing the
And-
guns at
and
each
we'll hug
other
you.
right now.
That's what I said we were gonna do. We're not no violence on Twitch. All right, so I need to make a manipulation. Why do I have this talent? And yet, so I just roll a 1 dice because it's 0, right?
Yes, unless you want to try to push it, and you can roll it again.
You know what? We have a day. I'm gonna push it probably. So let me roll the first one. That's a 5. So do I add another dice if I'm pushing or no?
No. So essentially, if you fail a
Just
test, you
re-roll
can push the roll and roll anything that wasn't a 6.
Mm-hmm.
Just a reminder: when you push your roll, you will automatically suffer a condition.
Oh, I know.
Okay, cool.
You gotta do it for the RP. I am going to reroll, and I have to call what I'm going to make the thing not so great, right? I have to call the thing that I'm pushed because I have to push and then say like I will do an angry, like, right?
Yes, you can go ahead and describe exactly
Okay.
which,
I'll-
like, when you're pushing the roll, how are you attempting to make this a success?
I guess this is someone who's like down bad in the sense of like maybe they're alcoholic and like they said that last time they were going to be good on the information. I've traded alcohols, get them alcohol and stuff, and this time like they were a little bit too drunk, so I'm like shaking them and just upset that like this was supposed to be a good connection and it's not coming through.
Go ahead and re-roll.
That's actually a 6. So
Okay, awesome. So while it's a success, you do still suffer a condition from pushing
Sure.
the roll. So I'm going to have it be. I'll let you choose between this. Either you're angry or you're exhausted. So either a physical or a mental condition.
let's do. Actually, I like the thought of exhausted. I can say like it took me a while. Let me think. I'm gonna do angry as mental because I'm supposed to be the physical person. So I'm gonna make a call and say angry. I was upset, like trying to. Like same storyline, even if I was exhausted, I was like walking around. People say like, "Oh, he's here. Oh, he's here. Oh, he's here. Oh, he's here." He told me he's gonna be here, and so like I'm just like walking around the city trying to find this person to get the information.
That's good. So even though that success factors in, you do still feel like your heart rate has elevated. You're feeling like everything around you is kind of just like fading out, and you're feeling like really frustrated and angry with this person who was supposed to have information for you. And the person, as you're shaking him, kind of goes, "Oh, wait a second. Yeah, I'm sorry, Kasper. It's been a hell of a week. And you kind of look over at this person. Let's say their name is Jesse that you're speaking with. Jesse's been
Jesse.
a contact, a well-traveled contact in the area, and he looks at you like, yeah, you were talking about Wolford, right?
Yeah, Wilford. That's what I said.
Right. Okay, I remember. Okay, Charles was talking about that place. Like he just went there, maybe 2 months ago. I mean, I went there when I was a little kid, just because, parents, they travel and you have to go with them. But it was super small when I went there. Like even as a kid, the place was freaking boring. But
I'm gonna start shaking him, like I'm gonna grab him by his the cuff
And be like, get me the information. I didn't get you nice alcohol for no reason.
Fuck, Kasper. Okay, man, come on, just give me a second. Charles was saying that they there's actually there's like an actual leather worker there now. They have like a good farm set up. Like there's a church that's there. There's a ton of stuff there now. Apparently, I mean, it's not London, but it's nice.
Is that about most of the information I get? Like I feel like I'm gonna get from him.
Probably yes.
All right, I'm gonna, classic like England bruiser. I'm just gonna like grab him by the collar and toss him into like a fence. It's not gonna hurt him. It's just to intimidate him. So I'm gonna toss him to the fence and be like,
next time, you're gonna be training extra for some nice alcohol. You need to be where I need to find you next time.
Okay. Sorry, Mr. Krabb.
That's right, it's Mr. Krabb to you.
and I'm going to, Barnaby's gonna go and like peck him in the forehead real quick, and then I'm going to say,
all right, we're done harassing the man. Come over here.
And I'm just gonna put my hand out, and then he's just gonna land right here, and I'll put him on my shoulder and just walk out as it's like raining, and with a smoky cigarette as my trail as I turn the corner and leave this man alone.
Perfect. So I'm going to say, Valerio, I would say the preparations that you've done will grant you your +2 advantage. Same for Kasper throughout the day. Now, Maja and Magnus, are either of you doing anything during this preparation phase, or are you going to attempt to do something during your journey phase?
I would like to prepare somewhat. Do I have an idea of what this thing would be based on the descriptions?
It seems really kind of vague at the moment. The mention of humanoid figures like woodwives, lakewives, or even werewolves seems very broad currently.
Okay. I don't even know if I have any money to buy anything with.
What are you looking for? So that can actually go into like our resources. Could you remind me what the resource score was for Maja? 2. Okay. So, is there something in particular that you are looking for?
Traps.
Traps. Okay, perfect. So let's go ahead and see how much hunting traps are going to run you, because you have a hunter's tools or a kit, is that right?
Yes, hunting equipment, yeah.
Hunting equipment.
Could I also have given Maja some of my own personal currency? Because I have bread for the night. I'm at the orphanage, or not orphanage, at the shelter. So I'm just like, and they're sharpening my knife, my axe. So I don't care if I have to live poorly for like a day or two.
So I will go ahead and say that will give you a temporary boost to your resources score of an additional 1. That brings you to, I'm sorry, was it, you had 2 before, now it's 3? Okay, awesome. So if you're looking for hunting traps, they're pretty standard availability, even on the not as well-to-do side. You can find them pretty regularly. I'm gonna go ahead and have you make still a resource check. So it's going to be 3 die. Nope. Okay. So let's see here. And you can also choose if you want to, because you have a temporary resource score of 3. You have the ability of automatically succeeding by sacrificing capital. So that would reduce your resource score back down to 2 for the day.
Yeah, why not?
Okay, perfect. So while you weren't able to make the roll specifically, your resource score has dropped back down to 2. You do find a hunting trap, though, that's available.
Just kind of a bear trap sort of deal.
Yeah.
Cool.
So that hunting trap is going to, in terms of how that's going to benefit you, if you write it down, it's going to be a bonus of +1. So the effect is to detect sneaking people with vigilance.
Cool. yeah, other than that, if it doesn't sound like it's a tree wife situation specifically, which it kind of seems like it doesn't seem like that, right?
I'm going to make an additional check of a learning check.
Okay. Not great. Nope.
Nope. Okay. So as it stands right now, again, it seems very broad. It doesn't sound like specifically, oh, this is an ash tree wife, anything definitively pointing in that direction.
Okay. I'm going to sharpen Kasper's axe. I guess that's all I do.
Perfect.
I'll go down to 1 for resource as well. I'm at 2 normally. I'll go down to 1.
Perfect. So resource score. That'll be a fun tool for us to reference later if we have to try to procure more stuff. So is that all for Maja for the night?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, perfect. And you can go ahead and add a advantage of +2 for this investigation. Now, Magnus, is there anything you're going to be doing in preparation?
I think in actual game mechanic preparation, I will wait until we're on the road. But while everybody else is off doing their things, I'm going to go buy bullets. But what I would actually like to do is instead go, is there any kind of toy or knick-knack store around in this area?
Oh, yeah. It's a short walk away. You're going to find plenty of small shops that are going to have toys, random knickknacks, trinkets, tourist traps.
I'm looking for, something for a child.
Okay, perfect. Just for fun, why don't you go ahead and make an investigation check?
Okay.
See what you find.
1 success.
1 success, perfect. And would you roll a D66? So 2 D6s and have 1 stand for tens and the other for ones.
Gotcha. 12.
A 12. I am going to reference a random roll table. These are fun. Okay, so you are going to have a small doll.
That's all for me.
Perfect. So as everyone finishes up their preparations for the day, going back to either your respective stays for the evening or people who are traveling from outside of London, there are rooms that are offered as well at the Rose House to stay. Overall, depending on where you're going, what you're doing, everyone finds varying levels of comfort. Maybe more so for Valerio if he's staying at the Rose House, maybe not quite as much for Kasper after a very rough night, but still finds him feeling annoyed and angry even as he wakes up. But the next morning, everyone is able to convene back at the Rose House where the journey begins. So this is going to be a 2-day journey by carriage. So there is going to be opportunity for the person who is currently directing the carriage to stop if anyone needs to at any point in time. But they have a planned stop that's approximately halfway in the town of Lincoln.
Before we leave from the Rose House, Valerio is going to have a folded letter to be sent to the other society location where Frederica is at. And it doesn't list our location of where we're going, but he's included descriptions of everybody in the group and asks, have you seen any of them before?
Okay.
And sends the letter to Frederica.
Okay. Good to know. That letter is making its way to her as you all are making your way to your next investigation. Before you do leave, however, Valerio and the group as a whole, but primarily Valerio, is told by William that the contact that you're expecting to meet is going to be a woman by the name of Eleanor Easton. You may have heard the name before, mainly for writings, specifically around folklore and tales that are used to keep children in line. So not a surprise, this person may be also investigating Vaesen. So now, as everyone gets into the carriage and the carriage departs, during this journey phase, are there any stops that anyone would like to request? Anything in particular you're planning to do?
Yeah, at some point when we're sort of passing through a more thickly wooded area, I'll ask for 5 minutes to just hop out.
No problem. I pull off to the side of the road. Driver gets down, kind of stretches his legs, going and checking on the horses. And anyone else can also feel free to stand, stretch, get some fresh air.
And while this is happening, Magnus just starts walking directly into the deepest part of the woods. And after he's about, I'd say like 100 yards in, takes the small doll out of his pocket, lays it down on the ground, and says, "Could you bring this to her? And, you know, if you know anything about what's going on, since you seem to know a lot of things, I would be grateful for some help." And I get up and I go back to the carriage.
Okay. Could you make a vigilance check for me, Magnus?
No successes.
Okay. Good to know. So the rest of the group, Maja, Kasper, Valerio, you see as Magnus, first to get out of the carriage, walking directly into the woods, is gone for a few minutes. Is anyone doing anything at this time?
I follow him.
Yeah, I was about to say,
Oh.
I turn and look at the other two and I go, is this normal for him? And I take the handle off of my cane and I put the spearhead on it.
I should have specified that I would have been, like, trying not to be followed. Like, I would have waited until they were, like, I had checked to make sure that they had not followed me. And so if you were following me, you would have seen me, like, doing the turn over the shoulder, like, watching out for being followed. So, not to say you can't.
Okay, I'm creeping.
I'm not gonna follow, but I am. If I can keep an eye on Maja, because I'm not gonna follow Magnus, because this seems they just walked into the forest. But if Maja is going to keep an eye on them, I'm gonna try and keep an eye for Maja as she's moving forward.
Okay, so in this scene, we're going to have a lot of contested rolls. So first off, can I do vigilance check from Magnus, followed by stealth check from Maja?
While they make the rolls, I'm primarily sleeping unless I see any plants on the road that are like numbing, like agents or anything that like takes the edge off of hunger. I think that's probably what I'm doing, and like those are the only two conditions I'm actually trying to go for, unless there's like fruit on the side of the road. Everything I'm doing right now is like hunger based, and so it's either sleeping, finding some sort of numbing herb that will make me not think about that, or getting like fruit or something off the side.
For sure. Go ahead and make an investigation check as well during this.
Okay.
I had 2 successes on my
Magnus?
roll.
Maja?
Successes.
Oh my gosh. Oh man, this is just getting really, really fun.
Hunter versus Hunter. Isn't that anime?
Hunter x Hunter.
Yeah, there we go.
Oh my god.
That's us right now.
Wow.
This is so amazing. Not what I expected, but amazing. I'm gonna have contested roll once more.
Success for me, Bree.
Perfect. Thank you. We'll return to that.
1 success.
1.
Okay, so let's go ahead. I wonder if there's anything in the system about repeated contested rolls.
There is.
Can I throw something out here?
Yes, absolutely.
I was speaking very low, so let's.
Okay.
I'm fine with her seeing what I'm doing and maybe not hearing it.
Okay.
If that's sort of the happy medium of our.
Absolutely.
That's actually exactly how it works out in the rules. Like they keep doing it until like you as a GM say like, okay, someone needs to like, you know, you need to meet halfway or something like that. And that's exactly what happens.
It's like, okay, we're gonna share the success right now. Perfect. So yes, I would say that at this time, as Magnus, we're kind of glancing over your shoulder initially. You have this weird feeling like there's a presence, but also being in the woods, that's not unusual for you. There's always, since events in your life, there's a draw to the woods. And Maja, you are feeling confident that Magnus has not taken notice of you, and you do see, as previously described, the placing of a doll on the ground, and you hear mumbling, but it's not quite able to make out what he's saying.
Does the placement seem significant, or?
Ooh.
It's done with reverence. I don't know if you could tell if the placement itself is specific.
Okay. I'm just gonna watch.
He's like a big man, like a really big man with this tiny little doll, just like very carefully putting it on the ground.
Okay. Maybe you see pierogi just like as a tie thing.
Like a little pierogi is maybe hear like the snap of a couple branches and hear like the light panting of pierogi.
Magnus quickly leaps to his feet and turns around. And then upon seeing that it's pierogi, he's like, oh, hello. Thought you are someone else.
Please tell me pierogi's doing the thing where they're like not looking, but they're like
He's like paused like mid stride, like
trying so hard to sneak. Pierogi's like best boy, but maybe lacking in the sneak right now. So yes, you do see pierogi there. Seems that maybe he ran into the woods, as a dog would, to do their business, check out the surroundings, go back when called.
All right, let's go. Let's go back to the carriage, you mangy mutt. Go.
He's circling Magnus.
I just start heading back to the carriage.
And so Kasper, as you were looking around specifically for like maybe some food like fruit, berries, or any herbs that you feel may be helpful to like maybe give a numbing sensation, you do see some herbs that you're familiar with. Don't ask me what they're called. I'm not a specialist in this. You see something that you feel is going to be helpful.
Okay.
Good bushel amount too.
Cool. Yeah, I'm gonna grab a good amount of that, and I'm gonna stuff it in like several different pockets. The food I have, like that I took from the rosewood, I probably only have like one or two things, but it's not like really a meal or whatever. Like I gave most of that stuff away when I went back to whatever I was doing. So yeah, I'm rich in numbing herbs now, which isn't the best, but it's better than being hungry.
And Maja, while you're out in the woods too currently, could you make a vigilance check for me?
One success.
One success? Okay. So as you're observing Magnus and watching him walk back towards the area where the carriage is, and pierogi kind of looking at you, looking at Magnus, looking at you, you see the fur on his back start to kind of stand up a little bit more, and his expression
Magnus or pierogi?
Or
hey.
Pierogi. And you start feeling this sense of pressure, one that you felt before. So you're being watched.
Can I tell from where?
Oh, sorry, what was that?
Can I tell from which direction, or?
It feels very generalized. You start like spinning around and looking, it just feels like there's a presence, but you can't quite place it.
I jump out of the tree that I was hiding in, probably like just like right next to Magnus as he's walking back, just like land.
God, do you always make an entrance like that?
Yes. And I look around. there's something watching us.
Well, then we should get back to the carriage, shouldn't we?
Yes, or we kill it now.
No.
Fonda drops from the tree. Valerio starts rushing forward. He's got the chain wrapped around one of his hands and his spear in the other hand now.
No, none of this. We're just gonna go back to the carriage and keep going. We're not being paid to take care of this one.
Is there something out there that we can hear?
Everyone make investigation checks, or investigation.
Not me. I'm chewing my herb and smoking a cigarette.
Kasper is
Chewing
doing his
herbs and
thing.
smoking cigarettes.
Okay.
3 successes.
Oh wow. Okay.
Ooh.
Also laugh coughing at all of them.
Okay, so varying degree of successes right now. You all stop. Try to, those who were a little flustered, regulate their breathing, find like tranquility, and listen. Even Pierogi's his ears are shifting back and forth, trying to observe around him as much as possible. You hear the sounds of birds flying through the trees. You hear wind kind of passing through. Every now and again, you hear a horse from the carriage. While there's still a really strange present from Maja specifically about being watched, you do not hear anything further. You do not see any activity. Passing squirrel running by, but that is it.
I think that's our cue to keep going. And I hop back in the carriage next to Mr. Krabb.
Valerio drops the length of chain from his hand and starts rewrapping it around his chest and then securing it. Closes his jacket, undoes the spearhead from the cane and puts the handle back on it, and tucks the blade into his jacket pocket.
Vali, do you hear that? And I'm gonna kind of grab Pierogi, and I just want to look around the forest and be sure that I don't see anything before I turn back.
No check necessary. I would say as you're continuing to scan the forest, maybe getting a little bit closer to the forest line. You're looking. Pierogi is also standing alert, but nothing.
Okay, I go back.
You lot done having fun in the woods?
There is no fun in the woods.
Exactly.
Only pain.
Exactly. That's what. Anyway, does no one in this group get jokes? Okay, well, let's get on with it.
What was joke? Please explain.
No, let's get on with it.
No,
You
I
have to explain
like
the
jokes.
joke.
Yes, I like jokes.
It's funny.
I'm just gonna stuff like a handful of herb in my mouth and just start chewing.
As everyone settles back into the carriage, it begins moving once more. The next stop, unless is there anything anyone else would request stop-wise prior to your night stay?
If we pass by any place that I can see that's kind of I don't know what the word I'm looking for is, almost like a postmaster's or something like that, like an in-between travel for people who are delivering letters or missives of any kind. I'll leave a missive for the Rose House to forward anything sent there for me to the point of contact in Wolf Run.
Okay, sounds good. That'd be a very quick stop. 5 minutes, jumping out of the carriage to run the missive in, light conversation, and back.
Okay.
Oh, so you don't follow him when he goes to do his little things?
You could follow me if you would like, Magnus.
I'm good. I trust you,
I'd-
buddy.
I just wanted to make sure you were safe. Also, I'd see you if you were following me. And turns and gets back into the carriage.
You're the driver of the carriage, like, trying to stifle a bit of a giggle at that. He looks at Magnus. Oh.
I shoot him a look. The look that says my hands are very big.
And you can tell, like, seeing that look and the man thinking, smaller stature man, kind of maybe looks down at his own hands and back at you, then just like very readily looks forward.
Kind of insecure.
Right. And also, Magnus, I would also like you to record a +2 advantage for your preparation in the woods. But aside from that, it is a long day in a carriage to be somewhat very close to one another. Now there's very strong herbal smell, especially coming from Kasper. But you do stop for the night in the town of Lincoln. Smaller town, but I would say probably similar to Maja. What was the name of the city that you'd stayed in?
Hereford is where I'm from.
Hereford's where you're from. Yes, it's probably similar size to Hereford.
Okay.
But they stop. There's a inn specifically that you stop at. Well-maintained place, seems to be incredibly popular, bustling pretty heavily. As you enter in, the carriage driver already kind of indicates, go talk with person at the front. Just give them William's name. They should be able to get us settled in. And he starts leading the horses off.
Anybody need help with their things?
I have nothing.
And I, whatever bags there are, I'm carrying all of them. All of them. And I take them inside, I guess.
Awesome. And so Magnus is heading in with all of the bags in his hands or his arms. It's almost like a tight squeeze to get through the door as you kind of like prop it open and keep nudging it, pushing it, and then like
Turning
angling
sideways.
your already large body with all these bags through. It's almost a comical sight. But you get up to the front of the front counter and you see a young man standing there. He's like, "Oh, hello. Welcome. How can I help you?"
Feck, I already forgot all the things I was supposed to say to you. I got the bag. Someone else can tell you why we're here. Valerio? Are you out there?
Waiting for Magnus to finish getting through the door and then steps in. He goes, William Hawkins.
Oh, perfect. Yes, I have a couple rooms set aside for. Here you go. And he starts kind of grabbing a couple keys, handing one off to each of you, and indicating that there's like a little number on a tag that's on the key. You should be able to go just right upstairs. Odds are going to be on the left-hand side, evens on the right.
Thank you.
Of course. And so this location seems to have like a good area downstairs for a small bar, small like gathering area, some food's available, and then the main area upstairs is for the actual guest rooms. Is anyone wanting to do anything this evening?
I will be definitely getting some food, and on our way in, did I see any good place that was ripe for thieving?
Oh, let's say investigation check.
Okay. I think I just have a 1 in that. Because I just had to roll it. Yep.
Nope. So as you're kind of recollecting what you'd seen on the drive-in, you were a little in and out of sleeping, so you didn't really catch a lot of the surrounding area.
Okay.
Mainly seeing the building you just entered.
All right. Good to know. Actually, one more thing. Did the person who drove us out here have a name?
They did, yes. What I assume you have asked their name at some point in the journey.
Probably, yeah.
Richard.
Richard. Okay. If I see Richard come in and get his like fill of food and go up to his room, if he's staying here too, you know, I'm a vagabond. Vagabond gotta do vagabond things. I'm gonna go to the make sure that no one sees me. Like, I'll probably wait till the middle of the night. And oh, it's a dog. And I'm going to see if he has like any hidden compartments in the buggy or whatever he took us in, and maybe do a thieving.
Okay, perfect. So we will revisit that, as that's going to be kind of a middle of the night situation. You do see that Richard comes in. If you're downstairs already, he goes up to the front counter. Pleasantries are exchanged, gets a key, very quickly runs upstairs, comes back down. And you do see him get some food. He sits down, he just starts eating, like, voraciously.
Cool.
But anyone else this evening? What are the plans?
I'm gonna get my tankard filled if I can at this inn. And then I am gonna go to sleep.
Okay. Easy enough. You're able to get a tankard. Gigantic tankard it is, but your to-go cup ready to filled and taken right upstairs. You're able to...
Actually, before I go to bed, I will read over the novel that I have in my possession.
Okay.
Just a little bit, because I'm a slow reader.
Just a very slow reader. It's like, as you start drinking, it's just very frequently interrupted by a drink, another, and you have a couple of pages done.
Yeah, and then I probably pass out with it on me and with the tankard in my hand. Did I make it to the bed in my room? I don't know.
That'll be something fun we can find out. And how about Valerio, Maja?
Valerio would actually want to speak with Maja in the bar area. He offered, there's a plate of food, 2 drinks, not a plate of food in front of him currently. And he has some of his recorded markings of like the magics that he found at the Rose House. He sets 2 coins on the paper. They have like a hole, almost like naturally eroded through the coins themselves. Maja, could you move a coin over whichever one of these markings speaks to you?
Why?
It's I believe that we all innately understand the world around us, and the world speaks back through us.
Oh, you're one of those.
In a way.
Is there any, like, difference between these coins?
Between the coins? No. They look identical.
These are same coins.
But different markings. And he points down to the paper, and there's like the symbols for all of the planets, sulfur, Mercury, different like alchemical symbols that are on this sheet of paper.
Do I have any sort of feelings about these symbols? Do these mean anything to me?
Now, Valeria, this is a question I have for you. Of these different markings, could you give a description of maybe 3 to let her choose?
3 of them?
Yeah.
Okay, so there is One that is just very simply a circle with a dot in the center of it. There is another that looks like a trident with a cross at the lower portion of the handle. And the last one is like an inverted crescent moon where it's curving down towards the bottom instead of to either of the sides.
I take the crescent moon coin.
And so you move the coin over the crescent moon on the paper?
Mm.
Okay. GM, I am attempting to speak with the ferryman.
Okay. Could you remind me the wording on that talent that it's referencing?
I will right now.
Thank you.
There it is. So it effectively is a roll against fear 1.
Okay.
And I was specifically waiting for it to be only 1. Anybody who is in the group, I would have attempted this with, in order to speak with the ferryman.
Against fear 1. So
I'm trying to find the exact wording on it.
thank you. That will be helpful. Fear checks are generally fairly specific in terms of why they're made.
Page 68. The slow action does not work against Vaesen. They must pass a logic or empathy test.
Let's see. Oh, you're trying to strike fear.
Yeah, because it's the only way that I can do what I'm trying to do.
Okay, with fear 1. Okay, yes. So this means that Maja is going to be the target of fear 1.
Yes.
Okay, so Maja, I'm going to have you make a fear check. So essentially what a fear check is generally circumstantial. This is a little bit of an unusual use of it, so it's a little different. You would normally have to check against fear if you're obviously witnessing a Vaesen or witnessing like a tragic or very disturbing sight. So this one, you are going to be making a check with you get to choose either logic or empathy.
Definitely empathy. And just straight empathy.
Yes, there's no bonus for skill or anything in that.
That is 1 success.
1 success. Okay. So you are successful in that you're not going to be dealing with any repercussions of if you were to have failed a fear check. Typically, that could mean that you're like frozen in place, or you attack the closest thing next to you, or you completely just run out of the room. So right now, you do get like this strangely unnerving feeling about this interaction that's occurring, as though feelings of like past traumatic events are starting to resurface, but you're not feeling as though you're losing your autonomy. Now, while this is happening, we're going to pause and go back to Valerio. Valerio, what are you saying?
As I watch the magic move through the coin to Maja, just very briefly, should I expect to put my life on the line?
And it's almost like this presence immediately is felt on your right, and there's like, in your peripheral vision, it's like a shadow is cast, but there's no form there. And you hear in like this deep, gravelly voice back to you. And even though the coins aren't moving, you somehow hear them clinging against one another. Potentially with this one. All the ones you've been around are marked or something. But I don't know about your oracle.
For now, this is who I should keep. And that is what it'll be.
Then you know what to do. Guard them with your life.
Yes. And in the same moment, Maja, that you get that feeling of fear is when that conversation took place. And you can see Valerio's mouth moving, but there's no words coming out. And then that feeling disappears, and Valerio just kind of moves the coin away from the marking you had there and moves it over a marking of 2 oars crossed over each other. He says, "This is the one that calls to me. I'm going to make sure that you're safe. I promise."
Why? Who are you?
I'm Valerio.
You have mentioned that. What does it mean?
Vaesen. One with the boat.
Can I do a vibe check with Pierogi and see how Pierogi's feeling about this? Because I trust my dog.
Absolutely, yes. Okay, so your dog gives you an advantage too, or like a bonus. I'm trying to remember what it is specifically.
It's
Written down.
for vigilance.
Okay, that's fair. I will say you and Pierogi can do an observation check.
Okay.
Or he
Yeah.
just fur rockets over and just like tackles there.
Failed the vibe check. Not a vibe.
Nope. 1.
1. Oh, like as in 1 success?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, and this is like a general vibe check on Valerio?
Yeah. Do I trust this person? Does Pierogi trust this person? Because I don't trust myself.
So, with a single success on this for Pierogi, you're kind of looking at Pierogi and like very accustomed and attuned to how he reacts. You see him looking at Valerio, and while maybe there was a sense of being slightly spooked just a second ago as you were feeling uncomfortable, he doesn't seem to be showing aggression towards Valerio.
What do these coins mean?
Their payment. Payment for the site. Payment for being a child born on Thursday.
Going to look at Pierogi. I'm gonna look off to the side and kind of like have this silent conversation with somebody. Okay. And I flip the coin back to you.
Catch it, holding the twin of it in the other hand, and then put them both together and just start fidgeting with them. Thank you.
You are a strange one.
I try not to be.
I hope you do not die.
Only if it means keeping you alive. And I'll move the papers back across the table, back into the little folder, put them back into my little carrying case, and then just start drinking.
Yeah, I'll take a drink.
I wasn't trying to personally attack you. I just believed in your willpower to succeed.
I trust Pierogi.
Pierogi, best boy. So, with that being said, is there anything else that anyone would like to add for this evening? In that case, I would say each in your own journeys of getting to bed, or maybe not to the bed in Magnus's case, find yourself waking up the next morning, able to get your belongings together, and unless there is anything specific you would like to do, be on the road.
We're gonna rob somebody.
Oh. What is Magnus reading?
That's a good question. But also, like, you don't know that.
I don't know. Are you like passed out in the hall? Like, are you?
No, I'm in a room.
Okay,
like,
okay.
Like, unless you're sneaking into my room in the morning, you don't know.
Okay,
I don't know what to tell you.
Could I do a thieving?
Oh, thank you. I apologize. You're supposed to do a thieving. So, middle of the night, as everyone else is in their rooms, somewhere in their rooms, Kasper, you are able to go outside, slowly walk around to where you see the carriage is currently being stored and the horses are off in the stable, being kept for the evening. Why don't you go ahead and make a... Is there a thieving check? First of all, let's do investigation.
Nope, a 5.
Nope, a 5. Okay. And then a stealth.
Oh boy. That's a success though.
Okay.
One success.
So you're being surprisingly stealthy about this. You're not actually making a lot of noise as you're going through the carriage. You start up front, kind of like glancing around to see if there's anything that, like, little nooks and crannies that Richard may have left stuff in. Nothing eventful there. As you're going through to the inside, you're able to open it up. As a note, he did not lock this, so shame on him. Someone really should have a talk to him about that. And you're going through, trying to see if there's a couple small little anticipated, like, storage pouches available for people to put stuff in. You're kind of thumbing through it. It all appears to be like, oh, is this some handkerchiefs here?
Right.
Maybe a little bit of alcohol off to the side.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to leave it all and just go back to bed.
Perfect. So maybe not a successful thieving, but...
Gotta be thieving.
Fun
Thievings
one.
be thieving.
It'll take us to the next morning. Is there anything anyone wanted to do specifically besides getting food, beverage? Nope. Okay. So, for expediency's sake, this next day is just as long and grueling as the previous one, unless there are any requested stops. I would say it goes by about as well as one could expect. The close quarters are probably getting a little bit uncomfortable for the group. And for some reason, Richard's been kind of snippy throughout the entire ride, being asked to pull over to, relieve oneself, and he's getting irritated very quickly. But you do make it all the way to the city of Wolford. And that is where we're going to end it for this evening.
Nice.
So, thank you all so much for sticking around and watching this first session of the Mystery of Hollowcreek. We start with the actual investigation into this mystery next session, where hopefully, if everything works, we will have our lovely Beau with us as well. So excited. I do want to really, really quickly go around the table once more, have all my players tell our viewers who you are, like if you have any cool projects, where they can find you. Like, seriously, hype yourselves up. You gotta hype yourselves up. I'm doing the finger guns again, because this is how supportive it's gonna be. Let's start with Kasper Krabb.
Yes, hello. My name is Michael Sinclair II. I go by Michael Kritz everywhere. As far as things that are going on, one of the new things just dropped for Tabletop Jocks, Magic the Gathering stuff with Joe Johnson on his YouTube channel. Really good. So if you like Commander, the second episode just dropped, and we are playing at the Guildhall Bar in Los Angeles. So if you like that place, really great nerdy place, and just the content's really awesome. It's what you expect out of a good normal EDH game, except classed up. So all the funny hijinks, not super, the super crunchy serious stuff. And then I will be streaming stuff on my own channel coming up soon here on twitch.tv/Michael Kritz. And I perform in a bunch of other places. Just follow me at Michael Kritz on Twitter, and that's me.
Awesome. Next up, let's go to Maja. Jazz.
I don't really do anything online. I have a Instagram at BugbearHug. Sometimes I will post art there. Like one time ever, I did that once. I don't know. I like TTRPGs, and I'm just happy to be here.
Thank you so much. I don't know if it was already said, I think like during introductions, but for everyone who didn't catch it, this was Jazz's first streamed session.
Woo!
You were amazing.
Let's go.
Thank you so much.
That was so fun.
It's amazing. I am so excited for the second session. Glad we were able to have you at our table. Next up, let's go to Magnus, Emily.
Hi, surprise! It's me, Emily, under here the whole time.
Big reveal.
I know. Wow, that came out so much easier than I was expecting.
Are you gonna perform through the pain?
Anyway. Yeah, I forgot to say like most of the things I do when I introduce myself at the top. So I'm Emily. I'm on second star to the right with Michael and Bree, which is a D&D actual play podcast and stream right here on twitch.tv. I'm also the executive producer and a cast member on 20-Sided Stories, the improvised TTRPG role-playing. Nope, the word role-playing is the R in TTRPG. I'm on that podcast too. Sorry, I'm slowly losing it. And I've been guesting over on the Fayforge Academy with Michael, which is a lovely D&D 5e actual play podcast, but sound designed and lovely. And I do have so much coming up that Danny, what day? No, never mind. I've got my stuff confused. Sorry. Next week, I will be playing with the folks over at Level 1 Geek. I will be playing with them on Tuesday night and Wednesday night. Tuesday, I will be guesting in their series Tabletop Treasure Hunters, which is a Pathfinder game. And Wednesday, I will be playing in a one-shot of the Alien TTRPG, which is also a free league system like this game. So if you like D6s, come on by. Anyway, that's me. I've had a pleasure being here.
Well, and last but certainly not least, Valerio, aka Will.
I love everybody here. This was so much fun. I'm Will. I'm the lore keeper over at Arclight Court. You can find us on Instagram at Arclight Court and on Twitch at Arclight Court. We're currently homebrew building an entire Power Rangers TTRPG world for the new Power Rangers RPG game that's coming out. Also have a Resident Evil tabletop role-playing game that we're going to be releasing on the Instagram page as well as the version 1 of the My Hero Academia tabletop role-playing game, which will be being released in the beginning of February on the Instagram page as well. So feel free to follow us over there. Again, I'm the Lore Keeper, Will, at Arclight Court here on Twitch and Instagram.
Well, I guess I'll just wrap this up. My name is Brianna. You can find me on Instagram and on Twitter at Brianna Flame. Most of the time I'm here, all the time a channel organizer, sometimes a game master. I absolutely love this table. Thank you all so much for agreeing to be a part of it. I am so excited to see what happens in the next 2 sessions. And thank you, final shout out to our tech, Danny, who is UK based, and it is very, very late and or early depending on your perspective. So it's 5 a.m. at the moment for this man. He needs rest. I'm going to yell at him after this, but positive affirmation. So thank you all again. We are going to be coming back in 2 weeks. So it's going to be the 29th of January, same time and place for episode 2 of the Mystery of Hollowcreek. We'll see you then.